TGR.
Hey everybody, welcome to the second episode of Classy Classics here at TGR. I'm Sean.
Rudy.
Onix. That's a JoJo reference, okay?
Today we are going to
my
be
bad.
talking about some amazing video games, some of the best games of all time,
Oh yeah.
but only 3 of them are going to be inducted as Classy Classics.
3, man. That's hard.
So, here's how this is going to work. There are timestamps below. I am going to start with the rules. We'll get the rules out.
Yep.
Then we will each share our nominees. You can look at the timestamps for those. And there we go.
There we go.
So what we're going to do, we're each going to take turns talking about our nominees. While we're talking about our nominees, the other 2 are not allowed to say anything. They have to keep the comments to themselves. Once we've each shared our first 2 nominees, the other 2 get to vote on which of the 2 make it in. If it's a unanimous decision, we all get to talk about it at the end, and it's fun. If there's a split vote, then a third game will get carted out, and that game will be the one that gets inducted.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
All right?
I digs it.
So who would like to go first?
Up to you guys.
I went first last time.
You did
so-
go
Sure
first
did.
last
You know
time.
what? I'll go first.
Oh, snap.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Let's
oh,
go.
Thanos snap. Okay, we got it.
Okay, so 3 games that I wanted to bring in today. And I'm going to start with one that is not as popular as the other 2, and the other 2 are already kind of niche as it is. Rocket Knight Adventures. Look at those faces right there. I bet they didn't know. So Rocket Knight Adventures is a 16-bit era platformer developed by Konami. The main character is a possum in a suit of armor. Now, you might be thinking, really? Rocket Knight Adventures? You've got Mario. You've got Rayman. You've got all these other platforming like IPs, and you're picking this random thing from Konami out of all people? Yes, I am, and this is why. The platforming in that game was essentially broken down into 2 bits. You ran left to right, you jumped whatever, but he had a jetpack, which when you would hold the button down, it would charge it up, and you would launch yourself either straight up or diagonally. And that gave you way more verticality into these levels. These levels were huge. The guy had a sword as well. Your main character had a sword, and he would just fight off the enemies. And this game had like shooter-ish levels, like side-scroller shoot-'em-up levels, as well as some really big bosses for its time. Like there was one level where you get into a mech, and you like have to literally fight the other mech, like old school, like rock'em sock'em bop'em robots. Anyway, the game was awesome, amazing soundtrack for the Genesis days, and it even had a sequel on the SNES, which I wasn't as popular as the first one. And I even think they remade it for PS3. I think it was just called Rocket Knights, I think. Could be wrong. But anyway, I think it should be there. It is definitely a very unique platformer that if you were to play it today, you would say, okay, yeah, this actually has aged very, very well. And that's my argument, baby. Rocket Knight Adventures.
All right.
Okay.
That totally out of left field
I
because
will, yeah.
yeah.
Do you want me to go next, or do you?
Yeah,
want...
you can go. It's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Okay, so for my first, well, actually, in general, so the last time for our first Classy Classics, I showed up with my first 2 nominees with some pretty retro games and games that I think, while they were, I feel, deserving of the Classy Classics title, they not usually the first ones that I think the general population would have come to mind when they're thinking of, the immediate ones that would come to mind. So this time I said, you know what, I want to break out the big guns. And while these still may not be like the top 3 go-to ones, which we all know, whatever, I said, no, I got to start bringing out some big
names. Sorry.
Yes, the big games.
Agreeing with you.
So, for this first game, the franchise it's from, I've had a love-hate relationship with. Ironically, when prior to the release of the first game, I ignorantly hated the franchise. Grew to love it very, very much, but then, whatever. But when the first game came out, it came out with the release of a console. And at the time, I was very poo-pooing of the game without really knowing about it. I was poo-pooing of the console for reasons. But my dad came to me and said, hey, I'm going to get either this console or this console for your brother for his birthday. Which one should it be? And I said, definitely not that one. That one's garbage. You want to go with this one over here. And while I was right about the console, I was completely wrong about the game. My first nominee, Halo Combat Evolved. So, let's talk about Halo for a second, shall we? At the time, it was the most immersive game I have ever played. Halo, say what you will about the reuse of the levels, the level design in this game really made you feel like you were isolated. Like you were in a place stranded by yourself. It was actually, it's funny in hindsight, it has similar parallels to Lost, where you're stranded on an island or the Ring. You've got this alien group that's attacking you, the others. You've got all of these supernatural things also coming after you, the Flood. So, yeah, actually, I don't know why, but Lost reference. The enemies in this game, the AI at the time was ridiculously good, and these enemies did not speak English. I can't remember if there was like a translator where you could technically in the story understand what they were saying. But they had personality. Like, these enemies felt alive. It wasn't until the Flood that they just felt like bullet sponge, mindless enemies. But that's what even made the Flood scary after having fought the Covenant for so long. The characters, I mean, you know, there's really not that many characters in this game, but most of them were iconic and carried on into previous games. Master Chief, Cortana. They named the whole frickin' Windows 10 thing after her. You got the Sarge, you've got 343 Guilty Spark. So, yeah, that was the thing. The gunplay was just utterly amazing. You know, the pistol, the classic Combat Evolved pistol, the shotgun and the rocket launcher, the Warthog, the vehicles. The Warthog is classic. The Ghost, the Banshees, the Scorpion tank. Too bad you couldn't play with the Banshees in multiplayer in this game. The multiplayer. How many people played Halo on the LAN at their colleges before Xbox Live? I mean, this was the game that really got people in, and that's why Halo 2, well, whatever. The soundtrack, it's an iconic soundtrack. I mean, you've got the Gregorian chant of Halo from the menu, but then I mean, that is iconic video game music. And it all ended with the Warthog run. It was just such a super polished game, and you know, the potential of where that franchise could have gone at the conclusion of that game was just astronomical. And love-hate relationship, Halo 2, whatever, but I feel like Halo 3 really brought it home. But it all started with Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved. First nominee.
All right.
Yeah,
that was a heck of a...
Woo!
Oh, man. So I am definitely going to skip my first couple of... not because you guys said it or anything like that. It's just... I kind of want to start off with something that's a little bit more relaxing than everything else. My first thing to throw into the ring is Animal Crossing. And for multiple reasons, at the time when it came out, and I'm talking about the original Animal Crossing that came out on GameCube. Yes, the GameCube was a very interesting situation in regards of platform and accessibility towards people and everything. But Animal Crossing was one of those games that I booted up and I had no idea what I was going to expect. I think this was before I even like really started paying attention to what was going on in the gaming industry. So my parents, they bought it for me and I was like, okay, thanks mom and dad. After, you know, playing Resident Evil 0 and all this and that, like I got this. So I booted it up and I was blown away. I didn't expect, because I enjoyed Sims. I think Spore came out around a little bit before that, and I was like, all right, like I enjoyed it. It was fun, but like this was just its own little world where, if you go ahead and reset the game to go ahead and, fix a situation or fix a problem that you had, like the game's like, nah, what are you doing? You can't reset the game without saving, like, and that little mole pops up and he's kind of like, rah, 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 and he talks you down or whatever. The music was very charming. KK and his cool guitar, man, that guy was awesome. I know. So chill, so relaxing, and like at the time, just that whole ambiance of just kind of being like, you know what, you have a loan with, pretty much it was bells that was the currency, and it still is today, but you have your loan and you have to pay it back as you go, doing odd jobs around the town, selling fossils, catching fish and butterflies and all this and that. But it was just a nice way to unwind and just kind of like relax after a long day and do mindless tasks. I feel like that was like the first Stardew Valley that kind of took off, where you kind of just do mundane tasks repetitively to go ahead and just kind of de-stress. And I don't know, maybe I'm the most hippie out of these guys, but I definitely enjoyed it, to say the least, and I had to throw it into the ring. So there you go.
All right,
first round of nominees.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid round, I think.
Yeah.
We literally have one from like every era. Well, you two are in the same era of gaming.
Yeah.
In the 60s,
Different genres.
Oh no, for sure. But y'all were the 8th generation, I think is what that generation was. I forget. But...
So.
What?
Kicking off round 2.
Round 2. Next game. Let's go. I forget sometimes. All right. I really hold this game close and dear to my heart. Growing up, I was a Sega kid. Like, my dad got me Segas all over the place. I had the Genesis, I had the Saturn, I didn't have the CD, and I had the Dreamcast, and I had a Game Gear. Like, I had all the Sega stuff. And when I got the Sega Saturn, it came with a demo disc. And a demo disc was a game called Panzer Dragoon.
Oh, man.
And that demo disc only had the first level. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying. It didn't even have the first level. It was the second level for some reason. And I played it, and I was like, wow, the main menu theme, it's like these really loud orchestrated trumpets. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Load the level, play it. Okay, on rails, very different. Never played something like this before. At least not how it was presented, right? And I liked it. Anyway, a few years later, Blockbuster. We go rented. I boot it up. And I was maybe like 9 years old, maybe 8. I forget how old I was. All I know is that I played it during one weekend from beginning to end. I didn't own a memory card for the Saturn, so I had to leave it on overnight. I beat the game, and I was emotional at the end. I had developed this like connection with that Dragoon, and it never left. I played all the Panzer Dragoon games minus Saga, because that game was really hard to find and very expensive to find later on, but I love that series. The first song in that game, past the main menu, is like, many would consider one of the best songs in all of gaming, and even Era recently put a thread about that. The song is called Flight. Look it up. And really, just the story, the setting, the way the world feels. It feels like a unique world where these writers are just normal. I don't know. It has a very like rustic, realistic, old time feel that a lot of these worlds that we grew up and loved with had. Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and things like that. So I don't know. It's very unique. Nothing has come close to replacing that in gaming for me. And like the day that they make a new one or a remake or something, I will die from excitement. So I 1995 was an awesome year for Sega, and it started with Panzer Dragoon. So let's go.
All right.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. I had a little theme for these two nominees. I mentioned isolation for my first nominee, and this next game also capitalizes on a sense of isolation. Fun fact, the first time that I ever went to your house, Rudy, was the first time I had seen this game. We watched, I think it was you, played a demo, and I immediately went to GameStop and picked it up. They already know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I was there.
Shadow of the Colossus. Wow, what a game. I remember at the time the internet was... The reviewers were like, it's a game that just has 16 bosses and that's it. And at the time it was like, well, what does that mean? And oh my gosh, that's a really interesting concept. And they're like, yeah, you just travel the world and there's nothing there and you just go fight all these bosses. And, you know, by today's standards, that could mean a lot of different things. But back then it meant something different, something special. I mean, you hadn't seen something like that before. But this was a game more than just bosses. But speaking about the bosses themselves, first of all, they were massive. Bigger than, I think, most bosses that you would find anywhere else at the time, though definitely not near the size of some of the biggest ones in the industry. They were these just, crazy puzzle / action / platforming, moving level monster things that were just like, it was just so unreal. And the way that it really pulled you in was the control scheme. And we've talked about this before, where these things are trying to flick you off. And as you're climbing on them, you are holding down the R1 bumper to hold on. And as you're flying around, the only thing keeping you there is holding down that button and making sure your stamina doesn't dissipate into nothing. But, they were these just intense battles with really intense music. Triumphant music, threatening music, despairing music. Like, the music really painted a picture depending on which Colossus you were fighting. But as thrilling as those boss battles were, in between, there was a lot of nothingness. Now, there was actually a lot of things in that nothingness, but what they did was they made this massive, seemingly desolate, empty world that you had to traverse to get from boss to boss. And that gave you time to rest and reflect as you're traveling between the bosses. But they also give you the ability to explore. And if you do explore this empty world, you find out it's not so empty after all. And you are rewarded for that, whether it be fruit from trees, stamina from the lizard tails. There's actually a lot of wildlife in this game. There's fish, there's hawks, which is always fun, trying to jump off your horse and try and grab it, which can be done. Speaking of your horse, aggro, wow, what a freaking horse. What freaking AI. And that guy as a character, just there's a scene, and if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. And just wow. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered it. I mean, the game is fantastic. One last little thing, totally unrelated to the game, but certain tracks of the music remind me of a instrumental by Explosions in the Sky called 6 Days at the Bottom of the Ocean, specifically the middle piece. Every time I hear that song, I always think of Shadow of the Colossus. Weird little anecdote, but yeah. I would love it if there was a sequel someday that was just 16 new Colossi with some new scenario. I doubt that will ever happen, but it's fun to dream.
That dude, oh my god.
Just a pause to also appreciate that. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did one of us bring it up last time?
I don't think it has been brought up as a classic nominee.
Either way,
it is
a masterpiece,
so
and that's why Ueda, whatever he brings next, whatever.
We gotta.
Yeah. I just wanted to pause for a second to do that.
So my next game, I'm just gonna go straight into it. It's Super Metroid. It's by far, I'm probably the biggest Metroid fan out of all of you guys, but no, if you haven't played this game, this is, I mean, Metroid as itself is phenomenal, but Super Metroid, it starts you off and you just kind of don't know what's going on. You kind of just start off fighting Ridley, and which is, you know, pretty much the main boss, and you're trying to save the larvae of a Metroid, which is you get from Metroid 2, which is Return of Samus, or Samus Returns, depending on which version you play. No, it's freaking amazingly well done, well paced. Obviously, you lose all your powers, and the whole Metroidvania genre kicks into play. Music is amazing. The way that it teaches you how to play the game is amazing. The tutorials, if you were to even call it that, are built in game. Yeah, you can go ahead and you can look up instructions on how to do things and that, but you can figure things out just by playing the game. Obviously, there's a bunch of hidden stuff, and when you get that X-ray vision, it becomes a little bit easier to find things. But the pacing is well done. The way that the story is presented is phenomenal. But it's one of the few Metroid games that I constantly go back to. I don't know how many times I bought it. Pretty much any time that it popped up on a virtual console, I bought it. So yeah, Super Metroid, I love you.
Okay.
So are we going to go ahead and discuss?
Yeah, we've reached the part of the show where now two of us are going to discuss the other person's 2 nominees and come to a vote.
Yeah.
So I think we have to start with Onix since he went first.
Yeah.
So his 2 games were Rocket Knight Adventures and Panzer Dragoon.
So do you want me to start?
Well,
okay, all right.
This is just a conversation.
No,
We're just conversing.
Cool. All right, so
have you played these games?
I did not play Rocket Knight. Panzer Dragoon is freaking amazing.
So you played Panzer Dragoon?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I never had any of the Sega consoles, and I believe the time that I did play Panzer Dragoon was when it launched on 360 or the original Xbox. Yeah, and I was, I think, Walmart or Target or something. They had the display, and I was sitting there, I was playing it, and I was like, holy crap, this is really cool. The music was awesome. The gameplay felt really good. And just finishing that demo, I was like, wow, this almost makes me want to buy an Xbox. No offense to anybody that's out there. It's just at the time, I was...
Hang on, I need a clarification here. Which Panzer Dragoon are we talking about?
I was specifically talking about the very, very first one. That's the classic.
Which was on the Sega Saturn?
Sega However,
Saturn.
The series did change, but it wasn't a major change.
Is the one that he played on the Xbox the same one?
No, that's
so.
Orta. That's the third
okay.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the gameplay is the same from what I know. Obviously, I haven't played it, but I fell in love with it, with the idea of it. I like dragons and stuff like that, so I was like, this is really cool, and the music's awesome. So I did not play Rocket Knight at all, though I do remember it.
I do too.
Because that was back when you could rent games.
Well, yeah, they were. Yeah, so you go to Blockbuster and you just see them
everything
all.
there.
You didn't have to know about it releasing.
No.
Yeah, we knew what that game was, Onix.
That's how
I just never played it.
That's how I played. Spider-Man Carnage. That's how I played. So many of the old beat 'em up games and everything like that. But no, I don't know if you want to voice your opinion.
Well, I mean, I haven't played either of the games that were brought up. I do, however, have a memory of watching. I don't remember watching the game that well, but I do remember there was a friend in high school named, well, whatever. I had a friend in high school who had a Sega Saturn, and that was the only time I'd ever seen a Sega Saturn in person, and he was like, this is the game for this console, and he played Panzer Dragoon, and I'm like, whoa, I kind of want a Sega Saturn, but I obviously didn't get one. And since then, as the consoles have evolved and we've been going on and people are reflecting back, that is a major force to as part of discussions when talking about the Sega Saturn. So
no, I agree.
I mean, I would kind of lean towards Panzer Dragoon just because of that.
I would totally lean towards. Come on. I mean, well, for me, it's so much better.
And it sounds like Onix had a more emotional attachment to it than...
I don't care about his emotional attachment. I care about whether or not the game's good or not. So as far as...
I mean, dragons, raccoon.
Possum.
It was, it was a possum.
Well, then why is it called...
Rocket
Rocket,
Oh
not
my
raccoon.
God, Rocket Raccoon.
That's
This-
what made me. Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
He just finished watching Endgame, like, what was it, 3
few
days
days
ago?
ago.
So is everybody, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
So, anyways,
Anyway.
back to the topic at hand. I vote for Panzer.
I also vote for Panzer.
Boom.
I
Done
accept this
skis.
vote. I don't have a choice, but I accept it. Yeah, I love that series.
How does it feel? Panzer Dragoon is now in a classy
It's a
classic.
It
classic.
makes sense. It was revolutionary at the time. Like I said, there was nothing like it, and that I have to really emphasize that main menu and the first level music. Like hearing an actual full symphony being played in a video game, it's like, wow.
At that
We've
time.
come a lot. That was 1995, boys.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago.
What was that, Tekken?
I don't even know. I don't even think Tekken was a thing. Like, but anyway, I'm very happy.
I was a freshman in high school when I saw my friend play it.
Yeah.
So that was gotta be.
It was maybe
It was
maybe in Japan,
mid to late
but
90s is when it came out.
Maybe in Japan it was 95. It definitely was 95 in Japan. Maybe here it came out a little bit later. Because I think the Saturn I think came out in the States in 96 actually. But anyway, regardless, fantastic game. I love it, and the series sucks. It's only been technically 4 games. And there's been nothing since. The original team disbanded. Sega, I haven't seen anything from that makes them want a new one. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, congratulations to Panzer Dragoon. Classic.
Seriously,
All right.
look up Flight. It's such a good song. Okay, done.
Oh, man. So for Sean, what was it? Halo Combat Evolved and Shadow of the Colossus.
That's actually kind of tough.
It is kind of tough.
I know you probably would lean towards Shadow of the Colossus.
Don't tell me what I am going to do.
Am I right?
You are.
Okay. Because I haven't known these kids for like almost 2 decades or whatever, no biggie. But like, it's hard because like both of them do things differently. One of them is, like he said, iconic. Like
Dude.
Halo is an icon where there's no
Change the
talking
genre.
about 100%. He mentioned the combat and the gameplay, and it's like the trifecta of shooting, melee, and grenade. That was a system that Bungie developed where it's like it's all the combat is like designed around those 3 things.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And also it helped bring in the dual stick control scheme to modern FPS gaming.
Yeah.
That was a big deal too. Before that, the biggest one arguably is GoldenEye, and that was on a
was-
64 with C buttons for a stick. So
Eh.
but Shadow of the Colossus was very ambitious. Not to say that Halo wasn't, but Shadow of the
For
Colossus
different
was.
things, man.
Ueda is a visionary. He is an artist. He is an what's the word called? Or whatever. I forget the name, but like an artist that is like in a tour.
An artisan?
No, never mind. Disregard.
Auteur? Is that what you're
Auteur. I
trying to
think
say?
yeah. He just has vision. And again, not to downplay Bungie or Halo or whatnot, but Shadow of the Colossus is different, man.
It's
It's emotional. I felt emotions
yeah.
during Halo. I felt emotions during Shadow of the
dude.
Colossus.
I can hear the music like right now,
All the
and
time.
I will like spine.
Look, Halo
tingling.
does have and da-da-da-da, but Shadow of the Colossus has like 16 tracks and then some of music that you can recall. Look up the Shadow of the Colossus soundtrack.
man.
Maybe you'll hear it here. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But
So
it's
good.
It's good. So right now, I'm leaning more towards SOTC, baby.
Yeah, me too, man.
Funny,
SOTC.
both games got remade too.
I know, but SOTC, man, that remake from Blue Point is
Really
like
well done too. Yeah,
I think wasn't it like a remake for 2018?
it was
like the
last
remake of the year?
It was last. Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna vote for Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, same here. Boom. Done.
All right. Shadow of the Colossus. Congratulations.
Yes.
Actually, I was like, I want to keep this theme of isolation, but I know Halo's not going to make it.
No, not against Shadow. Shadow's it's a
I
big
knew
deal.
you guys were going to go Shadow
You know
such
it's
a
too
good
well.
game.
because that. Well, and also because that was a game that the 3 of us like all connected on at the same
And
time.
discovered.
Yeah, we discovered
seriously.
it all together.
That was insane. Like, we literally bought it within the same week.
Yeah.
Like, we were playing it, we talked about it. Like, did you get to the ending? That frigging ending.
Oh
Like,
man.
Jason A was with us.
yes, he was.
He was
and,
there,
and,
too.
And the other kid.
Izzy.
No.
No,
Alberto.
Alberto.
If you know who you are, baby.
If you guys are watching, we remember.
Totally.
We remember. I remember you.
But yeah, and just I still have not played the remake. I have the original on PS2 and I have the remaster on PS3, so I just gotta get the PS4 version.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the PS5. I'll wait for that backwards compatibility, and then I'll get it on PS5.
He'll get 4K and 60 FPS.
There you go.
No choice after
that's
me.
the hope.
There you go.
That's the hope. Oh man.
All
Well,
right.
let's talk about Rudy. It's funny you mentioned isolation in Super Metroid. Doesn't get more isolated than that. You're literally that's like probably the first game ever where you're that isolated.
What was his other game?
It was Super Metroid and
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Wow. Wow.
It's
Which also has isolation
I guess you could
because
say that, yeah.
it's offline social media.
Oh my god. You're with NPCs. Come on.
Ooh, this is
There's a little theme going on.
Well, no,
Mindworm. Well, Panzer Dragoon is isolated. You're by yourself.
So before we discuss this, just out the gate, I would lean towards Animal Crossing.
Would you?
Yeah. Because I haven't really played Super Metroid. But no, Animal Crossing was, when that game was released,
Yeah.
again, when, talking about games that hadn't done something like that before.
I mean,
Well, I don't
said it
know.
best.
There may have been like
There
a really
may have
weird
been.
Japanese game that had done something like that before. But in like
I don't
American video game mainstream culture, like nothing like that had really existed yet.
I can't think of it. And like he said, it was like the first Stardew Valley, if you will, where like you're just doing kind of mundane things, like everyday things to kind of keep something up.
And it changed every day because it was all
Yeah.
based on the calendar.
Yeah.
So the weather changed, the bugs
seasons.
changed, the fishes changed, people are moving in, people are moving out. Something that Rudy didn't mention that was actually really big at the time because the virtual console didn't exist is that there were playable NES
That's
games
right.
that you could collect in the game in
Right,
Animal
right, on
Crossing.
GameCube, yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the best ones. I mean, we got Donkey Kong, we got Balloon Fight. There were a few others, but we didn't get Super Mario and we didn't get The Legend of Zelda, which were in the Japanese release. And I remember a lot of people being real bummed about that.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Jr. we got, but it was still fun. It was still cool
Yeah.
to just set up a little arcade in your house.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, though, because I actually never really played Animal Crossing.
Oh, jeez.
But I've played the heck out of Super Metroid. So it's a nice little split here. But this is the thing, though. I am very interested in the new Animal Crossing coming out. And Metroid, unfortunately, Nintendo, I feel like they don't know what the hell to do with this series, So, I don't know. For classic sakes, I lean towards Metroid simply because it was not the first of its kind, but the first that really nailed that form. And Metroid was very
Linear?
Metroid was very experimental.
Mm.
That was the first game where you could go left and
And
right.
right.
Like you could return to areas that you previously visited, and the main character was a girl. Like that was huge.
Woman.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was a woman. My apologies, Samus Aran. And then Super Metroid, like I said, perfected that. With Metroid 2, it was kind of like it was a Game Boy game, etc., limitations aside. Metroid 3, man, Super Metroid, it was a really, really well done game that established a formula that was copied for years. And
That was Florida Lightning.
yeah, baby, let's go.
Let's hope that the camera doesn't turn off. Well, it's got battery power.
Yeah, we're fine.
But let's hope the audio recorder. Oh shit. I think if you just took those two games and you put a poll out on the internet, I think Super Metroid would win.
Yeah, that's pretty much why I'm leaning towards Metroid. But I can't just say much about Animal Crossing.
But I'm not the internet,
No, you're not.
and Animal Crossing actually really does deserve to be a classy class. The music, and you talked about the music. Every hour, the music changes, and then there's also different tunes that you can go get. Ooh. Animal Crossing was one of those. It literally was offline social media. It was you make a community of friends that are all virtual.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like,
So are we? Are they throwing down, or you're gonna pull a third?
I think we might have to.
Oh well, there it is.
I'm gonna stick to. I'm not just gonna vote just because that's how
Yeah.
the internet would vote.
No,
I gotta vote
I mean,
how I would vote, and
same.
I would vote Animal
And
Crossing.
I'm sticking to Metroid. So
All right,
All right.
Rudy.
So my third pick is The Witcher 3.
oh, that's so funny. Wow.
Oh,
The
boy.
Witcher 3. We made a
Yes.
mistake. No offense. Please don't eat me.
Oh man, Do I even need to go in?
Yes,
why
you
it's
need
so
to,
good?
so we can talk
it's like,
about it.
okay, so this is not because I own stock in CD Projekt Red.
No bias.
No bias whatsoever. But
Oh,
listen, guys, I've played Witcher 1, which was as good as it was. Witcher 2 was amazing, but Witcher 3 came out and like just blew everybody's mind in regards of story, the gray area, the music felt like it was perfect to where it was. The DLC, the love that the developers put into this game, amazing. I mean, we're talking about 70 plus what?
expansions, because they said it themselves.
Yes.
These were expansions.
They were not.
You gotta give CD Projekt
No,
Red
you're
their
right.
due.
They were 70 plus hours
For $20. Okay.
Like, come on. It's not like today's standards where you open a cartridge or a case and all it is the disc, or for Switch, the little SD card. You actually got stickers, you got a little comic book, you got like the whole shebang. You got that, where was it? This map right here. You got that bad boy right there. You got the whole shebang, and like there was the story that was political. There was full of murder. There was so many things that were going on, and I mean, the story in and of itself, yay Florida Thunder, was very rich. The characters were phenomenally written. I mean, dude, come on, it's a hell of a game. The only thing that this guy complains about is the combat. That's the only thing. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's amazing, man. To me personally, it's like up there.
Witcher 3, congratulations.
Yeah, can we come in?
Oh yeah, go for it, man.
also Gwent.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah.
They just
Gwent.
invented a card game and it was amazing.
They
Yeah.
so good that they had to create their own game.
They actually had to make it a game.
Yeah, because the love was there.
I just gotta give it to CD Projekt Red, man. They're a developer that really cares about their products and their design philosophy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't that crazy about the combat, but I still enjoyed the side quests. Like I cared about these side quests. They were written so well that it's like you could do this all day and still have fun.
I know.
Feel like you're progressing through this world.
It wasn't like, oh, I need flour. Could you
And
fetch that for
even
me?
the fetch quests were like, oh, I need flowers. You go fetch the flowers. There's murder. What happened here? Here's your flowers. Oh, sorry, your mom died. You know,
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
Spoilers.
It was good, man.
Yeah.
It's funny because I didn't get through it, and I think I was the most poo-poo on the game at the time. But I was also trophy chasing, and I was playing on
Yeah.
the hardest difficulty. And
Some
Which,
weird
why
reason.
would you?
I don't know, but I did recently express my
Yeah,
interest in going
he
back
did.
and revisiting
He
it.
did.
And when you, Tronics, right as you announced it, said we made a mistake, I'm thinking, even though I had not the best time with it,
No,
I
we-
don't
yeah.
think so. Like, yes, the combat. There's a lot of things where you could just not use any of your abilities because it gets
You
easy.
didn't have to really prep. Or
Yeah,
like Witcher
no.
2 was very
But-
much about prepping before
yes.
every single encounter.
It's a-
Setting traps, like the whole shebang.
It's a very expansive world. There's a lot to
That
discover.
was gonna be loud.
You think so?
Yeah, sorry
I
guys.
could see the flash in
Yeah,
in your thing.
There's some thunder that's like.
It's a few miles out.
It's typical for
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We're
We're like waiting for it. We're gonna like, is it gonna come? Oh,
There it
we
is.
That
go.
wasn't that bad.
It's like a sneeze. It's like, come on. There it is. But no, I just remember that world being so alive and so
Yeah, yeah.
immersive.
So freaking
Yeah,
huge,
maybe
man.
I misspoke saying that it was a mistake. I think of Animal Crossing, I think Super Metroid, I think Witcher, and it's like these first two. I feel like just because of the time they've had, it's more so like they definitely deserve to be there. But you're right, Witcher 3 definitely.
Didn't that win? No, it didn't.
That was 2013.
No,
isn't it?
no,
Or
no,
was-
no,
no,
it's
hell no. 15.
Yeah.
Did it win 2015 Game of the Year
Oh, yeah.
at the Game Awards?
I think it
won
did.
like
Or
a
was it
bunch of-
Overwatch?
No,
Or
that
it
was 2016.
No.
then it was The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
It was between that and Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were saying Bloodborne got robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well,
It was
I
Bloodborne
mean-
got robbed.
I kind of agree with that one, though. But
But-
that's besides the point.
but that-
it classic for sure.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't just at that. It won awards like across the
it won
board.
a ton.
It won a ton of
awards.
It was
awards.
like that year's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, yes,
Essentially
yes,
is
absolutely.
what it was.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I would argue that it was probably the first next gen at the time game
Oh,
that
yeah.
felt
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're
No.
in next gen.
That
Let's go.
that was the one that everybody was after the consoles were announced. Like, yeah, there were some next gen games, but that was it. That
Yeah.
was the
Yes.
this is what is gonna give me hundreds of hours. And when you open that box and there was that little red slip in
thank you
there,
card.
just saying
Yeah,
thank you
dude.
for buying this game. We're so humbled that you chose this. We're gonna do everything we can to support you with all this free content, like
Yeah.
what we talked about, and even the DLC that was the Blood and Wine. Is that what it
Blood
was?
and Wine
Blood
was
and-
the second one, right? Or was it the first?
That
one?
was the second one.
What was the first one? 'Cause
first
there was like a
one-
10-hour DLC, which was like $10, and then they had like an expansion that was like 70 friggin' hours or something. And
Oh my god, I totally
forget-
forgot. I forgot the name of it, but I know the storyline.
yeah.
It was
Where
just so
you're dealing with a
heartfelt.
guy that can, it pretty much is immortal.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the beginning of it.
Well, yeah, but I gotta get there
Oh,
because I'm gonna
Oh.
go back and replay this now that
You
it is
should,
a
man.
classic.
You should, man.
All right. Well, we still have 2 more games to talk about, eh?
Yeah.
No, we don't.
No, that's it.
Oh.
I keep.
Oh,
Our,
yeah,
our,
what was the last
our
one?
hidden third games stay hidden for
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah,
Should
yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah, you can save that for later.
I have 2.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
I
those will
have
be your next
2 more.
nominee.
I was like, Witcher 3. But yeah, what do you guys think? You guys think they're worthy of the Classy Classics title?
What would you have
were the
put?
3? What were the 3?
Panzer Dragoon.
Panzer Dragoon,
Witcher 3.
Witcher 3,
and,
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus. Wow,
Yeah. So now
that's
we
a
gotta,
good class.
We gotta put the pictures up here. Our 6 classic classics, baby. Make a classic wall somewhere.
All right. So good.
That is
so
good.
freaking good.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This was fun. It always
Yeah.
is fun.
It always is fun.
We'll bring some more
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah.
Keep on
maybe
watching.
over the summertime we'll do another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call in.
That's right. All the way from Poland.
Yeah, I'll
hey
be in
guys,
Poland.
I'm in Poland.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red.
Jak się masz?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Anyways, until
Later.
next time. Deuces. Like what you saw? Check out some of our other videos.
Be sure to click the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Thanks for your support and thanks for watching.